Welcome to the Diary of Discovery, the podcast where we delve deep into the human experience of healing and transformation. I'm your host, Jacky, and each week we will sit down with inspiring individuals who have embarked on their own personal journeys of healing and self-discovery. From overcoming trauma to navigating life's challenges, our guests share their raw and honest stories, offering insights, wisdom, and hope to all who tune in. So grab your favorite cup of tea, find a cozy spot, and join us as we uncover the power of resilience, courage, and the pursuit of authenticity. This is the Diary of Discovery. Okay, welcome back to the podcast. I'm so excited. We have got the lovely Alice joining us today. So, Alice, could you just let everyone know who you are, where you are in the world?
Yes, okay. I'm so happy to be here, Jacky. I feel like the last time we spoke, we were in such different spaces of our lives. So it feels so good to be here. So we're actually I'm back. I'm in the UK at the moment. We're back for a very short period of time. My name's Alice. I'm a women's coach, and I love to support women who refuse to settle for less in life. That's what we're all about.
Amazing, amazing. So, as you kind of indicated, Alice, we have known each other for quite a while now. It's probably been close on 5 years, actually, when I was looking back at when we first made contact. And for anyone who doesn't know, Alice was literally so fundamental to my healing journey. She was my first coach stepping into this place of coming out of depression and getting to know myself better and just not settling for less in life. So I absolutely love that I've got Alice on this podcast to sort of just share her own healing journey, because I know that it's an incredible story. So Alice, we're going to go right back to the beginning for you. What was the first moment that you kind of woke up and realized that something had to change, you needed to heal, something wasn't right?
Mhm. It's really funny because when I knew I was coming on this podcast and I knew we'd be talking about healing, there's so many key moments. But when I thought of I actually want to talk about them because I think we have this one key healing moment, and there's a part of us that thinks, okay, I've awoken, I've done it. And one of the crazy things is like last year I had a baby, and I'm trying not to talk about her all the time, but I have a 1-year-old daughter and she's amazing. And I went through a huge healing awakening then. Like all of a sudden, I went through what I call the crumble. My life started to crumble again, and I had to go through an awakening again. I left a 7-year relationship a couple of years ago, went through the crumble again, and went through this huge healing shift. So I'm going to share with you my first moment. But what I want everyone who's listening to remember, because I need this reminder myself, is that it never stops. And that isn't to disempower anyone, but it never fucking stops. It never stops. And so when we get used to, oh my God, the crumbling is here, that it could be the depression's here, it could be the dark night of the soul's here, it could be, oh my God, my world's falling apart, something so bad's happening. What I want us all to do is be like, this feels so bad, but fuck, the next level is here. It is coming. The next level is here, because you cannot have the leap. You cannot have the up level without the crumble, without the shattering. And so if you are in the crumbling and the shattering right now, you're about to have the best time of your life. And what I love to say to people is, do not get stuck in the crumble. Do not get stuck in the downward spiral. Your job is to feel it, to heal it, and then you fucking go, go, go. So my first experience that I remember of really having a huge awakening and a huge healing moment was I was actually in my past relationship, and the business that we were both involved in, I won't go into loads of details, but it got into a little bit of a financial sticky situation. So if anyone listening to this has ever found themselves in financial debt, in financial challenge, in anything to do with finances, you will know it is such a stressful, not only mentally, but on your body, to feel that you are trapped financially and to feel that, fuck, how are you going to get out of this? And guys, it wasn't even my full weight. And so if people know me and know my story, I'm not saying that, oh my God, I got through that, but I was fully in an experience where there was financial difficulty. And I remember one of the moves that I had to make with my ex-partner. Let me know if you want me to give a little bit more context, because I don't want people listening to be like, what? But the gist is financial difficulty and financial struggle. And I'm talking about a lot of financial difficulty. And so one of the moves that we made to move out of that financial difficulty was to move in with my ex-partner's parents and family. And this was like crazy for me because I was always like a woman who, like stood on my own 2 feet and like had my space and like I was an empowered woman. And all of a sudden I'm like upstairs in this little bedroom in my ex-partner's parents' house. Like, and they would be shouting like, okay, dinner's ready. And I'm thinking, what the fuck? I'm not a fucking child. Like, I'm an incredible empowered woman. And I remember like going down for dinner that night, feeling like so small, like just so shrunk and so like I'd lost my power. And I went down for dinner. I sat there and my shoulders were shrugged. I just felt so disempowered. And I went back upstairs that night like I did every night. That is what my life had become, was just like this smallness, this suffocatingness. And I remember I went back upstairs and I locked myself in the bathroom. And I got on the floor in that bathroom and I just cried and cried and cried. I cried so much, just thinking, how the fuck am I going to get out of this? How am I going to get out of this struggle? And the crazy thing was, and like it gives me shivers thinking about it, is having that realization that we all have of no one's going to fucking save you. Like it could bring me to tears right now, guys. No one is going to save you. And if you're listening to this right now and you are in a dark place, it is on you to save yourself. Like when being in that place, being so suffocated and so small and feeling so trapped, was me being in the cocoon of like, you have to fucking break out of this, Alice. This is something I say to my clients is all the time, is you have to become bigger than your fear. You have to become bigger than your problem. And so in that moment, it was that realization of no one's going to fucking save me right now. My partner isn't going to save me. My partner's parents aren't going to save me. The very little clients I had at the time weren't going to save me. No one's going to come in and save me apart from me. And what does that mean? Okay, this is where I want everyone to listen. What does that mean? That means that from this point, everything about you, apart from your essence, everything about you fundamentally has to change. You have to change who you are being in the world. You have to. And so you need the darkness to feel the pain of what it feels like to be so small, to feel the fuck, my life is falling apart. Everything's like slipping away from me, to realize, to regain your power and be like, hang on, I am in control here. Something I always say, I run an online membership called the Sisterhood, and I always say to people, you move matter. Okay. So when I say matter, I mean matter, the physical matter. You move matter. You shift your reality. But what most people think is they think that matter informs them. So they look at their life around them, they look at their reality, and 99% of the population think, oh, this is who I am because this is what my reality, this is what the matter around me, this is what my bank account is reflecting to me who I am. This is what my shitty relationship is reflecting to me who I am. This is what my lack of friends is reflecting me to who I am. Like we think that we let our environment inform us. But what we all need to do is remember that we are the creators. The opposite of a victim is a creator. So if you find yourself constantly stuck in that story of why is this happening to me? And that's where I was in my story. I was stuck in, oh my God, why is this happening to me? How am I going to get out of this? Until I remembered, you're not going to get out of it, Alice, until you step out of being a victim and become a creator. That whole cheesy line that we hear that is so fucking true. Take the pen of your life and write your fucking story. And so from that point, I went on a journey of like, I have to learn how to make money. I have to learn how to make money. I have to learn how to make more money. I have to learn how do I be the person who adds value to people's lives? How can I create a space for people where they're going to actually pay me to get value in their life? So that was the first moment for me of like, you have to change. And this is a beautiful part of the healing journey. And one of the things that I get really annoyed with in the conversation of healing is like, life is not about healing, guys. Okay. Life's about living a great fucking life. Life is about feeling alive. You want to heal yourself? Go and feel alive. Like, I believe in therapy. I believe in coaching. I believe in mentoring. I believe in working through your self-limiting beliefs. But you know what? Sometimes you fucking need is to go and jump in the river. Go and make amazing love to your partner. Like, go and book a trip and feel alive, feel the sun on your skin. That is what is going to be healing. Like, go and feel what it feels like to build a business where you're vulnerable and you're seen and you're like, this is who I fucking am and this is what I'm made of. So, like, if it's so easy for us to get stuck in the downward spiral, that is not healing. And I want to make sure the right people hear this. You are not healing if you're stuck. If you're stuck, you're stuck. And that's hard. It's a harsh truth to face because we get so addicted to the story. Oh, this is why it's happened to me. This is why everything's so bad. Like, no, you're stuck because you're not doing anything about it. And I mean that with compassion. And I mean that in the most loving sense. The net doing something about it could be reaching out for support. It could be listening to this podcast regularly with Jackie. It could be joining a group where you feel empowered. It could be whatever, like going on a walk every day. Like, it doesn't have to be like you're beating yourself up. So that was my first moment. And it was the most amazing moment because from then on, it was like every time I got in a victim story, every time I felt my life falling apart, because guys, my life has fallen apart multiple times. And I fucking love that. And right now, I'm in an incredible stage of my life. And I can't fucking wait for the next crumble. I can't wait for it to fall apart again because it means I get to reevaluate everything and rebuild again for my next level that my consciousness is ready for. So I think for me, that first moment just I started to understand this is a cycle, especially as women. We're cyclical beings. This is a cycle. This is a beautiful cycle. And healing is about coming home to ourselves, remembering our power and remembering who we truly are. So there was a lot that I shared there. Did you get the key moment?
I love that so much. And I think like there's so much power in understanding that healing is something that happens multiple times, but also that every time you do it, it changes you fundamentally as to like who you actually are. Because a lot of people, as you said, they like have this moment and then they think like, oh, I've done this healing thing and I'm done now and like life's gonna be good after this. But actually it's never that simple. And like as you were going through, so that first time, every other time, what does it look like for you in those moments where you feel like you're not going to make it, like where things just feel really hard? Like, what does that look like for you in your healing journey?
Yeah, well, I'll share openly with you guys. I had a baby last year. So my daughter's now a year old. And I run my own business. So I run a coaching practice. And as part of that, I run a monthly subscription program called the Sisterhood. It's absolutely amazing. And when I had a baby, I couldn't keep up with how I'd been running my business. And so I went through this moment of like, fuck, like I'm gonna have to let it all die. Like I can't do this. And this was the story, guys. I can't do this. And it's amazing because I shared this very openly. Like I shared it with all my clients because I knew that the moment of like it getting 10 times better was coming. And this is the beautiful thing about when we go through these cycles is we get to have the human experience of like, okay, I'm witnessing myself telling myself I can't do this and this is really hard. It's all over for me and oh my God, my life's like ruined, blah, 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 blah. But then we also get to be like, okay, I know this. I know this process. I know where I'm at on the phase of the process. So for me, there'll be some sort of story. So my last, like with having my baby, the last kind of crumble, let's call it, that I went through was this story of I can't do it. I can't do it anymore. And I went through that process for a while. And guys, I gave myself time to be a victim. I gave myself time to feel like sad and to grieve and to feel like, yes, I knew that something better was coming, but fuck, it felt really hard to like let go of how things were at this moment. So I give myself time to be private, to be a little bit isolated, to just be around my friends and family. And you need that. In our culture, we are not good at grieving. We have no concept of grieving. Like we have when your life is going through the crumble, you're like going through a rites of passage. So you have to hold yourself. You're like this vulnerable little baby child, and you have to hold yourself. You have to mother yourself. You have to really tend to your inner child. And so the process for me was giving myself space to just grieve, giving myself space to feel like I don't fucking know what's next. And again, I feel like as you go further along the journey, you realize you're allowed to give yourself that space of I don't know what's next, and that there's nothing wrong with that. I think there can be a little bit of shame early on in the journey of like, you don't want to tell people that you're having a hard time. You don't want to tell people that you've got no language. This is one of the hardest things in our culture. There's no fucking language for grieving. There's no language for going through a quantum leap. There's no language for you're having a huge up level. And so if there's no language, you can't name something. And if you can't name something, it's almost like there's something wrong with you. If everyone just said, oh, she's going through a crumble and she's about to have a huge quantum leap, which is what I would say to myself, that's fucking empowering. Fuck, I'm going through a crumble and I'm about to have a huge quantum leap. Like, that's exciting. But if you're sat there like, shit, everything in my life is changing and like, I feel really down and I feel like I don't know what my next step is. Oh my God, like, no wonder so many people are depressed. No wonder so many people are lost. So it looked like having that in a story. It looked like giving myself that space. And it looked like refusing to settle for less. It looked like refusing to stay in the crumble. And so when I was ready, this creation, when any form of creation is, so let's again, I'm always trying not to talk about babies, but I'm a new mum and this is where I'm at in my life. And so creation, I had a vaginal birth, and creation is you go through for the baby to finally come out. If you have a vaginal birth, you push that baby out and it's coming out, whether you fucking like it or not. That baby is pushing out, everything stretching. In that moment, you feel like, can I stretch this much? Can I hold this? Can I feel this much pain? Oh my God, can I go there? Is this creation going to come out? And so there's this process at the end of this healing journey, this chapter of this healing journey, where you have to birth something new, and you are going to be asked to meet parts of yourself that you've never met before. You are going to be stretched in ways that you have never stretched yourself before. You're going to have to find the inner strength that you've never found before. And that is a critical part of the healing process. But guess what? We don't talk about it. So many people feel that stretch coming. They feel, fuck, I'm about to have to do something I've never done before. And they pull back. And this is how we get stuck in the downward spiral. Instead of saying, I'm going for it. And you know what helps us go for it? Is having a vision and having our values. So I decided a long time ago, I am not willing to settle for less in my life. Like, you have to ask yourself, what is it going to cost you? Okay, this is a question that I want all of you to carry in your pockets. What is it gonna cost you if you don't birth that new version of yourself? And I'll fucking tell you what it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you staying in that crumble. It's going to cost you feeling small. You're going to feel small for the rest of your life. It's going to cost you knowing what it is for you to live your true potential, what it is for you to feel fully alive. And so when we get to that portal of I have to stretch beyond anything I've ever known, and I don't fucking know if I'm going to be able to make it, you have to ask, what is it going to cost me if I don't go through that? And what I know for myself, and what I hope you know for yourself, whoever you are listening, is that you are so fucking capable. You have to give yourself a chance. That you would not be given the gift to birth this next reality of your life if you were not capable. And I know you listening right now, I know that you fucking know you are capable of so much more. I know that you came here for so much more. And so let go of how you think it should all be and let yourself stretch. Let yourself just open up to a new reality. So, yes, I have the moment of like coddling myself, of mothering myself, of holding myself through the grieving process. And you need that. Do not bypass that. It will show up in all other areas of your life. Do not bypass it. And know that when it's time to move on from that, you have to go into the birthing process. And we don't talk about this that much in the healing space. You've got to go out and birth that new vision. You've got to integrate what you've learned about yourself. So that is my process. And just connecting with your vision. What is this vision? Even if you don't know what it is, it's usually feeling it. So usually there's something more for me. And it will come, it will come. Trust it will come, it will come, it will come. Yeah, that's what I'd say.
Absolutely. I love that so much. And I think there's so much value in this conversation, like in understanding that we don't have this conversation enough. And obviously, this podcast was birthed from that place of the fact that nobody has this conversation often enough. So, like, I'm fully here for people understanding that healing is difficult. It's not a straightforward journey. And actually, we have to go through this massive change of who we are in order to kind of get to that next level and live the life that we're here to live, which is, I think, so fundamentally important for people to understand. And one of the big things I always find with myself and a lot of the guests that I talk to is that there's always some fundamental change in your outlook on life. So, like, we've already spoken with you about that idea of like not playing the victim anymore. I think that was probably one of your fundamental changes. But did you have any other fundamental like belief changes in your journey of like all of the different healings that, like, you know, sort of write how you look at life now?
Yeah, I mean, they're so specific. So everyone's like so specific. But one thing that really comes to mind is when I'd left my last relationship, I really knew that I wanted to meet the father of my children. And I'd actually grown up in an environment where I was basically around like unemotionally available. What is the word? Help me out here, Jackie. Emotionally,
Unemotionally.
emotionally unavailable men. There we go. We got it. Yes. So I'd grown up around, oh, I can't say it, emotionally unavailable men. But I knew that I wanted to meet the father of my children. I knew that I was ready for that. And I also knew that it meant that I needed to change my view on men. Like I had no respect for men at all. Like I'll just share this really vulnerably. Like I didn't see that much value in men. A lot of the men that I'd been around were so disrespectful to their partners. A lot of women were so unhappy in their relationships. Like a lot of people I just felt like everything I'd known from men growing up and kind of seen and been around, I just felt like, oh, like it's just not great. And so, but then I had this calling after the ending, it was a mutual separation, the ending of my last relationship. I just had this feeling of like, oh my, I fucking want that. Like, I want to be with a man who wants to build a family with me and we want to build this dream life together. And, we have incredible, like, passionate love making every night. And we're like just so on the same page. And I knew that I wanted that. And I knew that I had a lot of healing to do. And so the huge beliefs that needed to change was that I believed that that man was even available and that was even a thing in this life, and that I had to shift my relationship to the masculine and to men. So one thing that I did, this is a very specific example, but I just hope this is useful. You can apply it in your own life, whatever, specifics you want to add, is I actually started spending my time with incredible men. So I would like pay men, not, that sounds weird, I'd pay men to be in their presence, but I would like say I'd go and have healing sessions with men, or I would go like to an activity group that was led by an incredible man. Or if there was a man that I knew, I would like go out and have dinner with him just in a friendly way. Like I made sure because I changed, guys. I changed the matter around me. I changed the reality around me. And I surrounded myself with what I wanted to become. So again, this whole shift I've just been through in motherhood, what's one of the first things that I did when I was ready to create my whole new reality? I got in touch with my mentors and I signed up with them both for a whole year because they have the life. They've navigated the things. Their business is set up in a way that I want to set up my business. And so the first thing I do is I put evidence in front of me. So this isn't about a specific belief shift, but this is about if you want something, putting yourself in the arena with people who already have it is straight away cutting directly through the beliefs that you have that it is not possible. Because straight away I'm seeing, all right, my mind's telling me it's not possible, but she's fucking got it. My mind's telling me it's not possible, but they're doing it. My mind's telling me like there's not this man in my dreams, but he's a fucking decent guy and he's a fucking decent guy and da 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 da. So it's not always about like what is the specific belief, although yes, I'm sure there are some. But it's also about what do you want? And how can you get the shortcut? Like so many people like get the free stuff and listen to the free stuff and like get the books. And yes, all of that is so valuable. It's been so valuable on my journey. But the biggest thing that has cut through the beliefs for me is being in a space with people who already have what I want. They think differently, they act differently, they do things differently. And so think about what you want. Like I do believe in the beliefs, but sometimes I think like, let's not get caught up in the beliefs. Let's just get around the evidence and you're going to just straight away see shifts unfold in your life like quicker than you've ever seen before. Because you can't help it. It can't, like if you're in a room, if your life right now is surrounded by people who are saying, you can't do it, you're not good enough. Oh, I've got my shitty 9 to 5 job. I fucking hate it. And everyone's like that. And oh yeah, your partner's always like, they never know how to pleasure you. And oh my God, they never help with the baby and fuck life so shit. Like you think that that's what life is about. They're reaffirming, oh, this is the reality of how it is. If you have those beliefs and get in a room and you're like, oh fuck, that woman's having orgasms every single fucking night. Fuck, that woman's like doing what she loves and her bank account's so fucking full and juicy. Fuck that. You're blasted. Your whole subconscious is blasted. And you're going to resist it maybe at first. And you're going to feel annoyed and like they're lying and it's not true. But you fucking want to see a change in your subconscious. Get in the room with people who are living how you want to live. They're going to blast everything out of the water for you. So I know I didn't quite answer your question, but I think that's such an important piece of the jigsaw puzzle that we should, talk about here.
Oh no, you absolutely answered the question. I think that outlook shift of actually putting evidence in front of you is such a good piece of advice. Like I can relate to this so much. Before we hit record, I was telling Alice that I'm now running half marathons, which seemed ridiculous a year ago. But it's exactly the same mentality. I got myself into a running club. I surrounded myself with people who are signing up for marathons and ultras. And, there's a guy who's doing 100 miler in a couple of weeks. And it just like blew my mind. But exactly when you put yourself in front of people who are doing the thing and you start looking at them and you start going, well, this person's older than me, or this person's more overweight than me, or this person has, a different, condition to me. Suddenly you're looking at it, you're going, I can do this. Like, of course I can do this. Like, it's so easy. If they can do this, I can do this. So I think that evidence shift is such a good way in any reality, as you said, like with your partner, with raising your kids, with your friend circles, with your job, like no matter what area it is, put the evidence in front of you. It's going to be so much easier to shift the outlook and the beliefs and everything that comes with that. So I think that is that's really a great piece of advice. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about, and I know that when you started telling us about this journey, you already were a woman's coach, like you already were in this space, you were working with a couple of clients, but I also know that you have found your purpose on a much larger scale at every single step of this journey, and it's changed the work that you do quite dramatically. So can you just give us like a little bit of an overview of like how you integrate what you learn into how you actually work with your clients? Because I think that is a beautiful shift as well.
Mhm, mhm. Do you know what the biggest thing, and this is like the most ancient thing. So I know there's probably a lot of coaches and healers listening to this podcast, and the most ancient thing, guys, that has been carried throughout time is storytelling. Like there was never been a time in the history of humans where we have not shared stories. And now it might be that we're sitting around the podcast listening to the stories. You know, back then it might have been sitting around the campfire listening to the stories. But one of the biggest ways, it's just the same as evidence that we can actually share and integrate our work with others is through storytelling, is just because when we tell our stories, we give other people permission. We're saying to other people, yeah, it was fucking really hard. Like, oh my God, how hard was that? Like, I thought I was dying. Fuck, this was so bad. And now look what happened. And then this happened. And then this happened. And fuck. And so I think one of the biggest things is actually just sharing our stories and being really vulnerable and being really open about what each step of that journey looked like, and not trying to make it like, not trying to integrate it by this is the 5 steps to building your business, and this is the 2 steps to selling out your retreat, and this is how you like find the love of your life. It's like we all fucking know, like we're all intuitive women around here, but what we need is stories. We need that evidence. There's something so innate about telling stories, and as women that is especially where we thrive. Like I've ran, prior to doing this, I've ran women's circles, women's retreats. That's something I did for a very long time. And the shift, and even now, like in my online membership, the sisterhood, everyone is in the group and they share in their stories. Like yesterday someone shared something in the Telegram group, and one of the women's like, fuck, you've just fired me up. They come back an hour later, well, I've just done this and this. And it's like we're giving each other permission by sharing our stories. We're giving each other permission by saying, look what I just did. So I think the one of the biggest ways that we integrate is actually just by being transparent and saying, hey, this is the journey I've been on, and whoa, this is what happened. And yeah, getting clued up on what are those key practices. So for me, what a really big practice is being in the body. Like everything first happens in the body. But that's why getting the evidence is important, because everyone talks about the subconscious mind, and that's important. But when the body sees in front of it hardcore physical evidence of a different reality, it's the body that changes the subconscious mind. So that's something that I'm really big on teaching with people. I want to just skip back like to the last question. So yeah, is that all right with you, Jacky? I've got something I really want to share with you guys. So I was out having lunch yesterday, actually, with a lovely couple, a beautiful couple, some friends of ours, and one of the guys was actually sharing with us that he just ran 2 marathons in 2 days in Jordan, where it's like the heat is scorching over sand. And he's someone who runs like this really hugely successful business. He carries a lot of success. And so when I know people who have that much success, I'm watching them. Like my eyes are on them. I want to see, how are they moving? What are they doing? How are they speaking? Like, how are they holding themselves? So we know that success leaves clues. So we want to watch. And I said to him, you know, like, how did you prepare for that? Like, how did you get through that? And he said, you know what, Alice? It's all like, he said, I only did 3 runs prior to doing this. And I was like, what? Like, that's fucking insane. That was not what I was expecting to hear. And he said, the thing is, most people in life won't show up. And he said, if you just show up, if you just sign up to the event, if you just show up at the start line, he was like, I ran so slow. He said there was something like 100 and something people who started this event of 2 marathons in 2 days, which, guys, is insane in heat and on sand. It's insane. And only it's over 100 people signed up. Only 17 people got over the finish line, him being one of them. And he said there was moments where he was moving so slow, and there was moments where paramedics are driving past them and they're saying, put your thumb up if you want if you're doing well and you're like, keep going, I'm fine, put your thumb down, that signals to us, I need help, I need help. And so he said there was so many moments, so many checkpoints where the paramedics were driving past where he wanted to say, I'm putting my thumb down, I'm putting my thumb down, like, oh my God, help me, I can't do this anymore. And he said the reason why I got over that finish line was he just kept showing up. He just kept showing up. He just showed up, next step, next step, next checkpoint. And so, not thinking about the finish line, just showing up. And he was saying that even if he's at a 5K park run, he gets emotional because he'll look around. It's usually 9 a.m. I've been at those park runs where they all start. It's usually 9 a.m. and everyone's there. And he says, everyone at that park run is part of the 1%, because everyone else is in bed. So the fact that they've just trained themselves, they've continued to train that muscle to show up, that's why they're winning in life. And so just for all of us, it doesn't need to be that you like become who you want to be right now, that all of a sudden you're this huge success. But right now, like, how could you show up today? How could you just show up for that one thing? And I just think that's such a powerful message of like, you don't have to run in your best time. You don't have to like be the world's greatest. Just fucking show up. And if you strengthen that muscle, game over, life change. If your identity is I'm someone who shows up no matter what, game over. You've done it. You've fucking done it.
I
So I'm
love
sorry.
that. Yeah, I mean, no, honestly, it's such a key thing, I think, and I can relate back to running, obviously, as such a great way of learning how to be disciplined in everything else, because the mental game of running
Mm,
is next level.
mm,
Like when I ran my first 21K, I wasn't even sure I would get to the end. And I was running, and the same thing. There were moments like because we ran actually through the local town that we live in. Our first 21K went through our local town, which was a game changer for me because I'd gotten to the main road in our town. I was absolutely dying. I thought like I all of my friends had been along the course, but they all live on the other side, so like I had no more support coming, and I was like in my head of like I'm not going to be able to do this. And we run in club colors, and as I got onto the main road, literally there was loads of runners, but I was the only one in club colors from our town, and all of the spectators just went crazy for me, and they were going, Bishop, yeah, like you're doing so well. And it was like this, like, just like this crazy momentum of energy in my body. Like, oh my gosh, like I can take these steps. I can get to the other side. I can get up that hill. It's going to be fine. And by the time I got through, I was more than half, like more than two-thirds of the way there. And then I was like, oh yeah, I've got this. I've got this in the bag. Like, it's going to be fine. But it was so interesting. Like, it is just that it doesn't matter about the end. It's just about that next step and the step after that and how we keep moving. And when you actually take that determination and you put it into everything else in your life, so into your business, into your relationships, into, how you raise your family, like literally everything, it just shifts so dramatically your outlook on what this means. And I think like that process is also a massive healing journey in itself. Like being able to build that discipline regardless of the situation, because it's so easy, as you said earlier, in healing to get stuck in that, like, oh my gosh, everything's falling apart. I don't know what to do. I'm too scared to take, I can't go back, but I'm too scared to go forward and I don't know where to go from here. Like, it's such a normal thing that I think so many people get stuck in that space, and that's why there's so many people with depression and anxiety and living with all of these conditions that don't let them just live their big, a beautiful, like amazing life that they should be. So I think there's something so magical in that understanding for people. And actually, my next question is around that like advice that you would give somebody. So if somebody's going through an awakening, maybe it's their first one, maybe it's their 10th one, because we know that this goes over and over and over. Like, what would your advice be for somebody who's like in that moment where they need to go forward, they can't go back, they feel really stuck? Like, what are you saying to them that they should be doing?
I think trust yourself. Like I hate that. I almost hate saying that as well because like when you're in it, you're like, "Rah." But I think like get your environment set up for success. So if you know that you've got to move forward, it's like start listening to the meditation, start listening to the podcast. If you have the resources, start getting in the room with people who are encouraging you, supporting you, who have what you want. Like set up your environment and start like isolate yourself from anyone who's like being a negative influence on your life. Like set yourself up like you're literally in your cocoon, you're about to burst into a butterfly. You have to trust the process of life. And we see it in nature the same way that every autumn the leaves fall off the trees, and every spring the new shoots come out, and summer in full bloom. Like you have to trust the process. And those trees, those flowers that bloom, they need the right nutrients, they need the right water, they need the right light, they need whatever it is that they need. Like, so set yourself up for success and take it so fucking seriously. Like, this isn't a joke. Take it seriously. And the reason why it's not a joke is because I do think so many people are stuck in the downward spiral. So you have to take that is the critical moment of, am I going to fully bloom? And so you've got to get your mind in the right place. And a big part of that is create a massive vision. Because if your vision is sometimes, right, listen to this, guys. This is a great one. I love sharing this with clients. Right. If I said to you, okay, by the end of May, so we're on the 13th of May. So say if I said to someone, okay, you've got 2 weeks to make £1,000. Okay. People are probably gonna, all right, I'll do this, I'll do that. They might sit back a little bit. No, no, no. If I said to you, gun to your head. Put a bit of dramatic in there. Gun to your head. Make £10,000 in 2 weeks' time by the end of May. The way that you show up is going to be so different. All of a sudden, you're thinking bigger. Give yourself a bigger vision, a bigger problem to solve. You're going to make bigger moves. So instead of being like, oh, I just want to like feel a little bit better. Be like, I want to feel so fucking good. I want to feel the best I've ever felt. I want to make the most money I've ever made. I want to have the best sex I've ever had. I want to attract this. Like it has to be bigger. Okay. So give yourself permission to think big. Like, do you guys like, I know we're not like we're speaking on it, but like nod, Jackie, if you get that, like, yeah, like give yourself a bigger problem. And that's the vision. The vision, make the vision so big that it fucking moves you. Because so many people's vision is so small that they're like, oh yeah, I can definitely get that. Even though they're not getting it, they're like, oh, well, I'm not that far away from it. It almost gives them like a permission slip to not move. If your vision's so fucking big, you have to move. And guys, we feel alive when we're moving. That's when we feel most alive. And guess what? The more you move, the more moves you make. We're in Making Moves May in the Sisterhood membership right now. So I'm full in the Making Moves game. Oh yeah. The more you make moves, the more that muscle builds and the more momentum that starts going. So just make your move. And if you to make your move, you need a bigger vision. Again, pull yourself out of the shit. Just take responsibility. And like, again, I mean that in the most loving way. Like, enough's a fucking enough. Enough is enough. Done. Like, fucking done with this. Done with this. And that's what you have to feel like. I'm done with this. And it come back to that question, what is it going to cost you if you don't make that move? Oh my God, you're going to be in this place in 12 months' time. Oh my God, you're going to be in this place in 2 years' time. And that is painful. That is painful. That kills my soul to be in the same fucking place in 2 years' time. Like, no, make your current position more painful than your vision, because so many people see their vision and they feel pain. To get to that vision, I have to let go of this person. To get to that vision, I have to stop that toxic pattern. To get to this vision, fuck, heaven forbid, I have to let the world see me and post on social media. But if you connect with, fuck, I could be in the same position in 2 years' time. Oh, I'm dying. Help me. Right. Make the fucking moves. So you've got to let your current situation, because we move, pain makes us move. There's something that Tony Robbins says. We're moved and motivated by pain, not pleasure. I think that's starting to shift though, guys. Like, I'm definitely more motivated right now in my life. by pleasure. Like, fucking give me the pleasure. Yes, 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 yes. And it's in our nature to survive. And so, knowing and understanding ourselves as human beings at the core, that we are wired to survive. So, if you have to write a story that right now, you're not surviving, it's going to get worse. You're going to die and bad things are going to happen. This sounds dramatic, guys, but that's what I actually do. So, like, full transparency. Oh my God, like create that story of fuck, I'm in trouble. This is danger, 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 danger to stay where I am. Then you've got that view of like, oh my God, showing up is easier because it's less painful. So understanding that is really key to making change as well.
Oh, absolutely. And like again, I mean, like you can tell that you were my coach, Alice. Like I'm just like, yes, Alice, yes, I agree with all of these things so much. And it's like when I think back to when we first started working together 5 years ago, obviously I was still living in the UK. So much was different in my life. We were in debt. We like had the house with the mortgage. Like everything felt so difficult, and like business was going well and that was fine, but it wasn't as well as it could be, and the debt was just drowning. And I remember saying to you, like it probably was like 3 or 4 years ago now, that I really wanted to move back to South Africa. And it just felt like this impossible thing. Like we would never be able to do it. We'd never be able to get out of the debt. And then like by setting that big goal and saying that is what I want, like that is the truth of what I really want, within 2 years, like it was like, yeah, pretty much 2 years from when I made that declaration, everything shifted. Like we ended up moving home. We ended up paying off all the debt. We ended up buying a house cash in South Africa, so we don't have a mortgage. Like we bought our cars cash. Like everything just felt so different. And it is exactly that. Like rather than just being like, oh, I just want to get by and I just want to pay off the debt and I just want to like survive through these moments, it was like, I'm sick and tired of just surviving. I want so much more from life. And like shifting into that space of wanting so much more is exactly what, as you said, makes you make those moves. It makes you say, like, actually, I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to take this risk. I'm going to, step out and do the big, like, unbelievable moment, like every single time. And I think it's so interesting because before we started recording, we were both saying how it's really funny when you start living in this way. Some of the things that happen to you, they almost like you don't want to say them out loud because they almost seem like you're just making things up and like it's not actually true. And it is like when I look back and I think, we decided in the January that we were going to move back to South Africa. We came on holiday and like sussed out the situation in the March, and by the August we were on a plane back in South Africa, like having my birthday with our families. And it was like we'd been in the UK for 14 years at that point, and for 14 years we hadn't made it happen. And then suddenly, like, I decided it was going to change, and everything changed accordingly. And I think that that is such a testament to, we are the people who write our stories. We are the people who direct our lives. Like, we are the people who make it possible, especially as the women in the world. Like it is us who says this is the direction we're going in, and our men just come along with us and do all the good things that they're supposed to. Like there's something really amazing in that power of being a woman. So I think that that is so incredible in reminding listeners to this podcast, like we are innately powerful, and actually leaning into that power is what gets us the desires and everything that we want out the other end. So I think that that is so incredible. And so you've just said, like, in the sisterhood, you are doing like Big Move May. I absolutely love it. So what is your next big move? What is your next healing that you're leaning into now?
So, well, like to if I'm being fully honest with you guys, and I'll just share, and I think it's really important to share the struggles that we go through. So, my daughter was born with a hole in her heart, so it was a really tough year last year, and she actually had open heart surgery when she was 8 months old. And because of that, I'm someone who loves to travel, loves to be out and about. And we just didn't travel for a long time because of, we wanted to make sure that we were close to the hospital. We had a few very, very tragic moments. And so really my next big move is just traveling, just enjoying the world, just being out on the road again. And we're going again in a couple of days' time. We've just got back from Spain. We've been traveling around the Basque Country. And that really is what it is. And I've shifted everything in my business. So the whole way that I run my subscription program is very, very different now, so that I can be traveling and living my best life and just being with my baby as well. And I think it's really important for us to not just make our goals around our business. Like, if anything, the bigger my life is, like the more I'm living my best life, the easier it is for me to serve my clients, the more value I'm able to give to them. So my big move right now is travel, travel, travel. And yeah, we're just loving it. We're having a great time. We're having an amazing time. My big focus right now is on the sisterhood membership. I'm crazy about it. The women inside are insane. I log in every day. I share voice notes in there every day, daily coaching, daily stories in there. And it's just so good to feel the kind of synergy of, yeah, this is the big move. Like, I am the big move. And guys, don't forget, you are the big move. The big move isn't outside of you. You are the big move. You are the one that makes shit happen. So yeah, for us right now, we're in a bit of a pleasure season of just like, yeah, living our best life. It was a tough year last year with my daughter's heart surgery, and that's something that also like adds perspective. This is the beautiful things about the challenges we go through in life, is like, you know, I've always been someone who's refused to settle for less, but even more now, having close up and personal with the fragility of life, is like, yeah, we only live one life. And so go fucking make the moves, baby, make the moves. Yeah. So that's where we're at.
Oh, I love that so much. I mean, I've absolutely adored watching you travel at various stages of your journey. So I'm sure I will love watching this new journey unfold as you go. And one of the big things, I don't often plug things in these podcasts. It's not how we roll, but the sisterhood membership is something else. Like, if you're considering getting into Alice's world, like, such a good place. But what I will do is I will get a link for you to join Alice's mailing list, because her love mail is, again, like a little boost of sunshine in your email box. So I will put a link to that at the end, Alice, if you don't mind, because I think it'll be amazing for people to be able to connect with you. You are such a ray of sunshine in this, like, this mental world that we live in. So yeah, it's been so incredible talking to you today. It always is. I always love having these conversations with you. And thank you so much for giving up your lovely time to come and join us. Any final thoughts for our wonderful listeners before we wrap up today?
I don't think so. I think all I would say is, when you're in the crumble, be in the crumble, but when it's time to leave, fucking leave. Leave. It's like a relationship that you know is time to leave. Like, when you're done with the healing and you're done with the holding yourself, leave. Because life isn't about healing. Life is truly about living and feeling alive.
God, what an incredible place to end. Thank you so much, Alice. This has been amazing. Thank you for listening to another inspiring episode of the Diary of Discovery. If you found value in today's conversation, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and share it with your friends, family, or anyone else you think might benefit from the stories of hope and transformation. Your feedback means the absolute world to us, so please take a moment to leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your reviews help us to reach even more listeners and continue to bring this meaningful content to the world. Until next time, remember, your healing journey is valid. You are never alone, and you have the strength to get through this. Keep shining bright, and we'll see you in the next episode of the Diary of Discovery.